So forgive me if I don't project, but I don't want to wake up my roommates. I have no direction for how I'm going to say what I want to say. I just know that it's easier to talk to my phone camera than it is to schedule and keep a therapist appointment. But as always, God is a great listener. Now, I've been talking to God about these crazy, let's call them dreams that I've sort of been having. And recently they've gotten really, really bad. Like scary, very frightening and real. So I thought, work them into, it's like a story on a platter. As a creative writer and poet, to get past a writer's block is anyway. It's as though are working through me. That sounds so ridiculous and cliche. Um, it's as though the muses are working through me, and sometimes I just feel like I don't know if it's science or if you add the L, if silence would be smarter. But I've been getting so many mixed signals from the universe, let's call it. And it's so confusing. What's at stake, though, each time is what compels me. See how nonchalant I am while I put on makeup and I tell this story, this brainstorming of a crazy reality that we may or may not be living, that we may or may not be hearing die every day in various ways, and feeling run through our entire body, like electricity was just an excuse to fly kites, and everything is planned. Like a, what is it? So it's like a choosy, illuminant, omniscient narrator. That's not the official name, but you know, the narrator who seems to know everything, but then hones in on whose point of view, character wise, they seem to know more about. I feel as though I speak my uncertainties and mysteries, but there is some choosy, illuminant, omniscient narrator. Inconsistent, though. Much like Edgar Allan Poe's narrators. Inconsistent, but consistent in that they are confusing, they are inconsiderate, they are manipulative, they are long game players. And I hate to use the term game. Can you hear me? Good morning. How's it going? Hey, Isaac. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in the world, like, but I feel very close to the impetus of whatever has begun, which I'm sure began way before I felt it start to begin. My concern is, when is it going to end? And how will I know that it's done? I'm not concerned with like, oh, is the chicken cooked all the way through, or is the meat still a little raw? When I say done, I mean for sure not a possibility for these scary things to continue. I feel as though, this is going to sound wild, and now I'm talking as though I'm experiencing these things myself. Because sometimes I feel like I am physically. Sometimes I feel just like a puppet of sorts. But if Geppetto had some strings attached to my heart, to my jugular, to my clavicle, to not just my joints, but the things that connect me to the world, the universe, and to my own roots, I feel like there's a challenge that's just poking at my biggest fears that I never knew I had, but that I have been forced to imagine colorfully, vividly each night, as though my love, my care, my paranoia, my wanting to be, super sure and double check that my family's okay, that my friends are okay, that everybody's okay, because of scary thoughts I hear in the wind, or to know that they're okay and that they're alive, screaming and screaming. I will always call to check and see that you're okay, no matter what time it is. Now I feel like I should jump off the phone and call all my family. There is a need and a concern for me to feel and remain as close and connected to my family and friends as I have been forever. And to do that, I have to abide by their wishes, which makes sense. Don't call us at ridiculous hours in the morning if you're worried about us. Do a YouTube live video and tell the whole world. It'll help. It'll be good for your writing. Rob Bresney, New York Times bestseller, has a book called Pronoia, which he coined as the phrase meaning the thought that the universe is conspiring to shower you with blessings. For a long time, I tried to really live by that and believe it, and I still do, I think, deep down inside. But on the surface, the things that I can see and feel, um, 5 or 6 senses or whatever, I feel they've been the undercurrent, and I forgot that I'm supposed to swim sideways. Sideways is swimming me, and I was never taught how to swim to illustrate the confusion. And like, there's no water, there's no water. But still, they say I'm mostly made up of it. Well, so is a story. But how are you going to make up this story to me? What I'm saying is, erratic narrator. Narrator, I like that. But we may need to widen the scope. And maybe widen begins with why. For a reason, which we'll come to discover. If every loss, if every mourning, if every potential threat, and every tangible solution even without a vehicle, I mean rushing 2 blocks down and then convincing myself, no, they're alive, it's okay. You're imagining it. It's probably some virtual reality video game that's gotten out. There was a leak and now everybody can hear it, and that's what you're picking up in the winds, and you're not delusional. This is just a practice in narration, illuminant indeed. But don't look at the light. Don't look at the lights. Keep it light, but don't look at the light. So it's a very difficult line to tread when and how is it going to end, or does it just stop? Does it pause? Do you get any sort of solution, resolution? Is the problem dissolved? Is it the perfect crime because the people targeted are the type of people who might have symptoms of psychosis or schizophrenia, or, you know what? Every voice and every sound I hear is in my head. Do you think I have some magical ears that I keep floating out here on antenna? What is this? My ear. It processes sound right here. Happy birthday, a miracle. Hey, happy birthday. Sorry to start this morning off with such mind-boggling realities and surrealities. I hope your birthday is beautiful, and all the love in your life is huggable, tangible, and ever effervescent. A miracle H9M. So forgive me for saying I'm coping but enduring. Forgive me for saying I'm patient but having no choice but to wait. Forgive me for thinking I might seem strong when I've had no option but to survive. This must sound very first world spoiled. Like, I have clothes, I have a ponytail, I have putting on my makeup at 6 a.m., I have glasses that I got on, I can see, I have my family, I have my friends. And that's almost what makes it worse for this type of story, this sort of threat. And of course, the story, wherever I start to tell it, should begin in the action, right? That's where good movies begin. That's where compelling novel openings start. That's where the most memorable moments um, pull you in, right? Is because there's action immediately. There's something at stake. Sometimes you don't know what's at stake. So this character, this narrator, it doesn't mean to be unreliable with what they see, how they interpret things, but their environment is ever changing in a way that is scary and threatening to not only her but her family and friends and even acquaintances and strangers who are around her, to their well-being. And so he efficiently and accurately conveys her experience throughout the story as well as she can. But since so much of the stories are inconsistent and come from what she calls her audio environment, the voices that she hears, because she doesn't like the stigma that comes along with saying the voices I hear, because that implies, I think, she thinks that they're not real. Um, so she calls them her audio environment, and they scare her. They scare her a lot. And for years, this has been happening, but it's been growing and growing, and they've gotten louder and louder. And now she's just convinced that they're not just delusions. Because unless her phone has auditory hallucinations as well, um, we're definitely picking up on something here. And there are times when I feel like I am in the middle of a virtual reality. Everyone thinks I'm playing, but which I have no idea is going on. And what's worse, I don't think it's a game. And I think that some people think that it is. And I think that some people know that it's not. And I think that that's part of the strategy. And so the whole time she's trying to figure out how to get out, all the while, her brain, she's told, is somehow public. Her every thought is made public through some website that she's been told but can't quite get to. It came to her in a dream. They said, Instagram solution, go to Instagram solution. It's like my every Google search is curated by some invisible hacker um, who's just having a ball, making my inner turmoil stir up scary, scary potentials, which in the real world wouldn't be potentials at all. And so, how do you fashion text on a page to, I mean, might have to make it like one of those books from when you were a kid, like press the button and it sounds, I don't know. Where are the sounds coming from? And where are they going? Well, it's been too long for it to be a joke, right? It's not the Impractical Jokers playing a long game joke, right? And you can't avoid terms like long game or strategy, but you should find a way to, because people will think that you're a character, especially if you use the word character. Well, what if this is Third World War or Fourth and it's invisible, but its consequences aren't? Somebody can hit me over and over and over and over again. In a video game, I can't see. And it's real world, and so they're right here. Well, some of us exist in the virtual world, but we don't know how. And the person who can tell us is been built into a firewall with Edgar Allan Poe's Black Cat. So what are we to do? Break down the fourth wall? Hope that the Flores isn't in the forest and that there's soon going to be a reason to Visit a florist? I hope not. I sure hope not. Well, the other day when I was telling this story idea to someone who I thought could help, he thought it was silly. I thought his map was silly. Let's go get your head checked, Amanda. All right, let's do it. I got a receding hairline, but this is stressful, and I'm almost like really old. I'm not. One of us has got to go platinum, you know? Oh, it's too early in the morning for this. Where's my water? I know this is very dark. Thank you guys for listening. This is a future serial killer. I know that's what I'm saying. You've got to hear it from here. It's like crazy. It's almost as though I feel the torture that is being imposed upon my psyche create some sort of funny little, you know, how to create a supervillain, like the origin story of a supervillain. Then this is really messed up. If I signed up for it, right? Or if I knew where the voices were coming from, but to be suddenly remotely controlled, as absurd as it sounds, I'm just sure that it's happening, which again, I know is textbook psychosis, textbook delusional. The diagnostic statistic manual will certainly agree, except, well, to not have sovereignty and complete 1000% control over one's own body sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? But it is the year 2025. And so certainly this is not far-fetched. And even if it were far-fetched, the Wright brothers, I'm sure, thought very crazy for a long while until they succeeded at, you know, flying the airplanes and stuff. Every innovation and every grand leap through technology and inventing and all that good stuff has been thought miraculous and impossible until it was possible. But what if it was possible? And what if they didn't need our consent? It's very like 1970s Invasion of the Body Snatchers style, except worse. Because I think at least the Body Snatchers were straightforward about it and very obvious. This would be a cruel and very well thought out way to abuse access to good people, or people who try to be good and are confused and keep asking people, keep asking friends, do you hear that? What is that? Do you know about this? Do you know about this? And everybody says no. Strangers seem to be cluing you in on thematic snide remarks, like with thematic snide remarks, innuendos, and the looks people give you, especially men, strangers. It's odd. Like your subconscious knows more than your narrator will admit, or has processed, or has had the chance to process. And so I guess if there was a medium who had a magic skill to like somehow pick up on threats imminent within her vicinity, one way to hone and channel her skills might be to utilize her frequency and allow that access to be accessible to people who are in dangerous situations. Maybe some emergencies happening right around the corner, right close to me. And so their adrenaline picks up and the frequency frequency somehow with radio waves, or I don't know, science, matches up and aligns to my ears or and my fears across all hemispheres. And and one way to ensure that the medium, who didn't know that she was being trained, perhaps for big things, they had big hopes for her. They put filters over the strangers' voices so that every time someone needs her help, she hears it as her own family, her own mother, her own father, her brother. How many times has she fallen to her knees and clenched at her own heart? Thought she was improvising poetry, and then as soon as she spoke it, was just almost threw up from the subtext, which seemed threatening. Even my notebooks, every now and then, now I look back and read and reread, and I know what I meant when I wrote it, but upon a second and third read, sometimes I wonder, you know, I wish my subtext were the lottery numbers. Then maybe that would make it okay. It's been a long while now, and I'm tired of feeling like the only way I could really get anything through is there's not there's not a way. There was something I was going to get at the end here, but Malcolm Gladwell in his book The Tipping talks about connectors, like people who connect several people, and then mavens who connect more and more people. And having been a performance poet for several years, over 10 years, 15 years, a professional performance poet and creative writing instructor, performing all around the nation and as far as New York City and Harlem and the legendary New York Poets Cafe, and competed, representing San Antonio Budo Slam at the National Poetry Slam for 6 or 7 years, and being the Grand Slam poetry champion of San Antonio twice, and one time uh, for San Francisco, and then La Voz of the city of San Antonio, which is funny because they're like, we don't want to claim her, listen to her, she sounds like a lunatic. My narrator, it's my narrator who's a lunatic. So what I'm saying is, I make a lot of friends, I know a lot of people, a lot of poets. I went to Trinity University here in the city of San Antonio, graduated in 2010. I've taught at several schools and performed at this fair and that fair, and taught workshops at this theater and that theater for years. And the artist and music community here in the city of San Antonio is very tightly knit. We're a friendly city, so we smile a lot. Am I trying to give myself an excuse for trying to see the bright side, when really what I'm doing is walking calmly out of a burning building trying to get somebody to go in? But I have to remain calm or they won't listen. I'll lose credibility if I show them my burns and scream at the level at which I should be screaming. There are more people in there, but they didn't see them go in, and they have no reason to suspect that there are people inside the building. This is a metaphor, as far as I know. No, it isn't. What I'm saying is, when these sort of things no longer become secondhand attempts at retelling a secondhand feeling, or when you can't tell if it's because some weird technology is connected to you that is connected to someone else who's in trouble, and they're in so much trouble that you start to fall to the ground and experience your body completely falling limp, as though something graphic were happening. And how many times does this happen a day? Too much, so much, and so very realistic that, well, I don't even reach for the pen much of the time anymore. I want to write it before I write it. And the only way to write it is to make sure that it's not happening. And every time I try to make sure that it's not happening, my narrator gets confused. And Zyrtec is an allergy medicine. She found out the hard way that she's allergic to other things that don't work and that she's allergic to. There's too much to say, not enough time to say it, and most importantly, she's afraid to. She can't think it out ahead of time because they can see her brain. There's a brain screen and everything. But not everybody can read it, you know. You have to be specially trained and trustworthy. Because if you get a bad brain screen reader, that could really ruin things, you know? As crazy and mean and maniacal as I seem now, this is about 5.5 years of buildup of daily, visceral, and mental prompts. And when I say prompts, I'm not talking like, okay, begin the paragraph with, you know, the sunset was a blah, 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 blah. How was your, you know, breakfast and how does it blah, blah. No, no. I don't mean that sort of, I mean, you're living it, you hear it. Sometimes it's happening right next to you, and that's what it sounds like. And that's what your bruises show in the morning. That's what your lab work shows. Your heartbeat, which you know well because it's been yours your whole life, it doesn't align now with your emotions. My central nervous system wants to do its job and help me regulate when I'm nervous, but it's been deconditioned. Everything's tangled now. Doesn't know the steps, doesn't know how to do the dance. And the ballroom is like where you pee, where you poop, where you think, where you're embarrassed, where you don't even know that you're having subconscious thoughts. And if anybody gets to that brain screen, you know, somebody malicious, an enemy, or somebody who wants to take all of your genius writings and 2 giant bins of notebooks. And really, they have everything they need. Everything they need. What if they're really doing it? What if they're really framing me just like they did to Dorian Gray? Well, I thought I would come out of poverty in time to write it without mistaking it for poetry. There's nothing there. There was. It'll come later. One day I'll find somewhere to put these puns and these little lines I think are so smart. Gosh, I'm mean to myself. I'm meaner and meaner to myself, you know? I know who I am, but I also know the environment in which I am now going to have to survive. So, what's the quickest and easiest and safest way that I can carry like tons of notebooks and never have to leave them unattended? Because 5,600 iNotes gone, right? Gone. And my iPhone stolen when I got out of the hospital the other day. The narrator said, "It'll be all right. You got the iCloud." I said, "No, man. We haven't updated that cloud in like 8 weeks to a year." And if they really do have specific, very, very specific control over your brain, what if they can delete your memories? I'm talking like Men in Black fun style. We're going to delete the last 10 minutes. Specific stuff like we're going to delete every memory that has the color green for you. Any memory where you smelled this and they spray your mother's perfume. They wait for you to write something that you're pleased with. They capture the emotion like a fingerprint on your face and in your body. And every memory or moment you've had, that feeling of pride, of satisfaction from something you devoted your life to. Like this. For instance, um, the only thing the narrator has to function upon is her faith, her morals, her values. I guess I could get a wagon, put all of my books in the wagon. Yes, I'm a weirdo. Hi there. Yeah, I sort of just forced myself to go raw live on here on YouTube. I would concur too wholeheartedly that I must sound absolutely absurd. I made the mistake of just like um, giving audience or listeners like the benefit of the doubt. Not that it's your fault. I didn't even introduce myself, and this isn't like Instagram or Facebook where you guys are people that I met in real life. So sorry if it sounds absurd, but if it sounded normal at this point, considering what I've been experiencing, then I would be absolutely concerned. So I don't know, man. If you know something about a video game going on out there um, that uses the actual world around us and stuff, anything at all, please let me know. I'm not in the virtual reality world or video game world. The last video game I played really actively was Crash Bandicoot on like what was it? What was it? PlayStation. PlayStation. On PlayStation. Crash Bandicoot. You forced me to put on my thinking cap. Um, so I don't know, and I keep seeing things online that seem to come straight from my notes, and that sucks. But that's how the world works, creatives. Anyway, my name is Amanda Flores. I do performance poetry, although I've been on hiatus. Um, I've been writing prolifically, arguably, but in ink, and some of the stuff I never get to write down. But I feel it all the time. More on this later. Like I said, this wasn't well thought out, but um, the narrator doesn't really get to plan things out because she has the imminent threat of one of her brain screen readers who uses the name Priscilla um, and Nicole out of the blue. Fonegra, Priscilla Fonegra. It's like weird. And they have the voices and the names of these people that I know from real life. Spooky. Of course, you have to be level headed enough to know that it's probably not them. And so that's good. You got your spirituality, you've got your tools, you've got your family, you've got your friends. Thank you so much, Scott, for say 1442. You are so beautiful. You have beauty written all over your face. Thank you. It's very sweet. Um, I guess it's better than having something else written all over my face, right? And so it's like the guardian angels, my guardian angels. They come to my rescue like real angels. What's real angel, right? I definitely know the universe is looking out for me in several ways. And I want to be taken for my word and my worth again. If I feel like there's something, again, probably textbook paranoia for this type of character, but she's picking up on like the feeling of people say things and she doesn't know what they're referring to, but they become so frequent, these comments, that she has to assume that people think that she knows what they're talking about. Mm, she'll figure it out. The character will figure it out. Hopefully, it ends happily. Maybe she is a millionaire. Maybe she was her own puppeteer the whole time. Maybe the shoes she's designing are going to sell super cool and great because they weren't stolen by somebody who can read her brain, but instead remained in her notebook where things should belong. Private until you're ready to share them. Instead of raw at the 6 a.m., because you're afraid that there may never be another chance to share a little bit of your story. So you put everything on the line, your reputation, your story, the movie that's going to be based on this book that you haven't written yet because your narrator is a procrastinator. And not just because they rhyme. This is a music note one. It's going to be like a music note. This one's about time because I'm always running late. My mom always jokes that my birthday was the only time I would ever be on time. These are copywritten. These are mine. I wrote them on this page October 4th. So if I see if you guys publish these or sell these shoes, that's it. What's this one? Hey, if you're still here sticking around, like, thanks for hanging out. I'm just rambling. I want to make sure that I get to share my ramble. This is a pencil. This one is, what's this one? A mess. This one is, what is that? Oh, question mark? No. Where's my favorite? Oh, this is my favorite. See? This one's sort of like an ampersand, but a dotted ampersand. So if you're a musician, you know that when you put a dot, it means like another half beat. So why did I do that? Oh no, that's just the aglet. I wanted to work in like some sort of ampersands of time. Also supposed to be like a sort of a shout out to the yes and rule of the improv world, which I could go to like just not yes and for this story. What other? Oh, this one. I think I like this one a lot. It's a lyre, Lyre, the instrument, the stringed instrument in mythology, typically associated with the poets and the bards of the time. You see it? And so that's that shoe design. What else? Let's see. That one has a light bulb. That one has a smiley face. Because one of us has to. Let's see. Of course, there's a little eye, sunshine. And then, what else? All right, let's see what we got here. I should just go live all day. It would be quite comforting, Who needs a therapist when you just go live all day? True. Amanda Flores. Let's see. I graduated from Trinity University, studied English and creative writing there. And so I apologize to any friends and professors who know me from there who just heard me ramble on into the most obscure parallel worlds that I don't know. I have a short poem about parallel lines and how sad they are, like the saddest love story, because they're always facing each other, but they can never meet, and it's geometrically tragic, but poetically beautiful until you have to live it. At least you don't grow apart. This is actually my favorite shoe one. So this one's a triangle with the ampersand, and then the triangle is like delta, right? Which is the change in something in physics. The triangle, I think in physics and probably other places too. So then it was going to be the ampersand to suggest that we go on, right? And then it's also a lyre, Lyre, in the instrument um, from a long time ago, associated with the poets and bards of ancient Greece. And then also it's got the dot there, which will both, I think, imply that it has a little extra beat, and also maybe since it's a little high up here, you're live. Okay, cool. Sorry, I just wanted to pop in just to say goodbye. And what was I saying? Sometimes a really bad pun or a little piece of wordplay will sit in your notebook for like years before it finally knows where it goes. So it's like ampersand, staccato. It's a change in perseverance. It's like, is it Xeno, Xeno? I think the physicist with the theory about how there is no movement. There's just a bunch of still moments in time, just like a little flip book or something. So this idea of a bunch of quick staccato moments, um, instead of like what, a 45-minute live video, because people are gonna stop listening. Amanda, really, you got to work on that. Let's take a look at where your narrator decides to shed the light. Okay, so what is the narrator's goal here? Great question. Goal, what? Check. Exposure for the light has to be great. Putting almost never, but is it do about it? Because if I put too much in that, then guess what? I'll never get to be myself. Ever. We can't have that. No, we just can't have that. Thank goodness I'm a creative writer, because if this were all happening to me and I didn't have my creative writing tools, I'm afraid that it wouldn't be half as fun for the vocal performer in me who thinks she can sing but knows that she can't. Is a soprano, but we'll belt it down here if she needs to. She can do a little character like this, and she can go like that. Wait, and she can, you know what? She has to be natural in the moment. So New Year's is around the corner, right? What you gonna do for New Year's? What are your resolutions? I don't know. Let's play it by year. I don't know. How about this year we plan it? Wait, why was the planet? And that's why you do have to practice. So you see, we're such a prolific writer who's afraid to even think a thought for fear it might someday approach a gold. Like, I'm scared to have a decent idea because they'll take it before I get to write it. I won't get to shine it up and to polish it and to turn it into the thing that I'm proud to share on a microphone with everybody. The fourth wall never was there. Uh, what was I saying? What was I saying? You know, ADHD is high definition. ADHD. I don't know. You see? So who becomes the leader of what you write? Is it the punnery? Is it the wordplay? Is it the meaning? So I need to challenge myself and decide if it's going to be inner turmoil. Is it going to be, my struggles with carrying my heavy notebooks everywhere? Um, am I going to take all my notebooks to the pawn shop and say that I've had them appraised, and for this year and this year they made approximately this much money, and so if we add up all those notebooks, then technically, we take 20% of that, yes, I could get a short-term loan for, whoa, that'll cover rent. In a perfect world, in a perfect world. Uh, Maybe we switch genres. Maybe you could be a shoe salesman. Maybe I could be a shoe salesman. I get people to tell me shoo shoo all day. Shoo shoo all day. And never does anybody come with a glass slipper. Just kidding. I'm auditioning for Prince. When you start just saying all of your bad puns on a YouTube live video because you're that scared that somebody's actually invading your notebooks, all you've got to think is the people who've supported you, because that must mean that you feel pretty confident. If I feel confident enough to come on here without any makeup on and put on foundation and still yammer on about this sort of stuff with an audience that doesn't know me, that says a lot about um, the people who I've had in my life, the people who have formed the character um, that I am, which is probably pretty different from the way that I'm presenting today. Um, and if my biggest problem is that, oh my God, people are invading my brain in a secret way so they can steal my stories away, and all the while never leaving me alone for a moment, always sure to be in my audio environment so that I know they are here. Um, yeah, there's more where that came from. And hopefully there's a lot more where it's going. I'll let you know when I figure that out. Please tell me if you have any suggestions. It's like she wants to say jester, because surely it must be a joke, right? Ashton Kutcher? All right. It's couture. It's couture. Bye, you guys. I'm so sorry. How do you press pause? I'm a rookie. I'm such a rookie. Just be natural. Act natural. Bye, everybody. See you soon. Act natural. Act natural. This button must do it. Bye, everybody. Act natural. Act natural. Act natural. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Copy link. Goodbye. See you soon. amandathepoet.com for more. And then you just end. It should just have a big button that says end here. Press to end here. Must be this. Well, this is. I love how smooth I am. I'm so smooth at this. Copy. When in doubt, just take forever figuring it out. Make sure to say aloud how confused you are. And whatever you do. Oh, wait, there it was. I think I saw it. Don't tell people to subscribe or like below. No, 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 no. If they want to, they'll do that. It'll be fine. It'll be great. But don't remind them. Don't remind them. Close. Close. It must be this button. Not that button. Oh, this one. I think we did it. Oh, exit. I think we're doing it. Okay. amandathepoet.com for more. Thanks for listening. Seriously, thank you for your tolerance.